You're not ready for what I'm about to tell you. Not because it's complicated, because it's true. Right now, you are sitting somewhere ordinary. Maybe your room, maybe a waiting room, maybe that quiet place you go when the world gets too loud. And you're watching this because something in you, something quiet and persistent, has been saying you were made for more. You don't know what to do with that voice yet. You've been calling it arrogance. You've been pushing it down. But what if that voice wasn't yours? What if it belonged to the one who made you? Stay with this, because what God has been building toward in your life, it's about to make sense in a way nothing else ever has. There is a meeting coming. Not an accident, not a coincidence, a divine appointment. And the person on the other side of it has more reach, more platform, more influence than you currently have access to. But God doesn't need your access. He only needs your obedience. Keep listening. Let me take you back. Not 5 years, not even 5 months. Take yourself back to one single moment, the one that didn't make sense, the door that closed and you cried about it like you'd lost everything. You remember that day. Maybe it was the opportunity that fell through at the last minute, the call you never got back, the person who chose someone else. You sat in the silence of it and you thought, maybe I'm just not enough. Maybe I read the signs wrong. Maybe God forgot me somewhere along the way. He didn't. In Jeremiah 29:11, God speaks through the prophet to people in exile, people who had lost everything familiar. And he says, I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope. He doesn't say that to comfortable people. He says it to people in the hardest season of their lives. And here is what most people miss. He said it before the deliverance came. He said it while they were still waiting. You've been waiting, and this is God speaking directly into your waiting place right now. Here's what was actually happening in that season you nearly gave up. God was adjusting the conditions of your meeting. Every person who has ever walked into a world-changing encounter did it with a backstory that made no sense until afterward. Joseph was thrown into a pit before he stood before Pharaoh. David was overlooked by his own father before Samuel anointed him. Esther was an orphan before she became the queen who saved a nation. You didn't know it then. But God was already moving. The version of you from 2 years ago could not have handled the meeting that's coming. You were still seeking validation from people who were never assigned to see you. You were still shrinking in rooms where you were meant to expand. And God, in His mercy, didn't let the door open until the door was supposed to open. Every prophet was first isolated. Every single one. Moses in the desert for 40 years. Paul in Arabia after his conversion. John the Baptist in the wilderness before he introduced the Messiah. Isolation is not rejection. Isolation is preparation. And you have been in preparation. Think about what you've quietly survived. 3 a.m. You've sat in it. That hour where all the noise is gone and it's just you and every fear you've been avoiding. You've felt the specific loneliness of being surrounded by people who don't actually know you. The silence after a prayer that you weren't sure reached anywhere. You've held your breath through conversations that made you feel invisible. You've pressed send on things that took everything out of you and watched the silence on the other end. You've deleted messages you should have sent. You've sent messages you wished you hadn't. You've sat in a crowded room and felt completely invisible. Not invisible like nobody noticed you. Invisible like nobody saw the full version of you. Like you were showing up, and nobody quite knew what to do with everything you carried. And that quiet ache, the feeling of being present but unseen, became so familiar you almost accepted it as permanent. But God was in that room too. He was watching what you did with the ache. Whether you became bitter or whether you stayed open, whether you hardened or whether you held on. And you held on. And somewhere in all of that you kept going. That persistence wasn't personality. That was grace. Hebrews 12:1 calls it running with endurance the race that is set before us. You've been running, even when it felt like standing still. There's a reason you're still here. Not everyone makes it to this part of the story. Keep listening. Now, let me show you how God works. He doesn't send a famous person into your life before you are who you are meant to be, because the meeting is not the destination, you are the destination. The person is the bridge. And bridges are built over ground, not over water. God first builds you, privately, in the unseen rooms, in the journals nobody reads, in the prayers nobody hears, in the gifts you've been pouring into spaces that felt too small for them. Matthew 25-23. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. The faithfulness came first, always. This is the divine pattern. This is the law. You cannot rush it. You can only be faithful inside it. And you have been faithful, even imperfectly, even with doubt, even with days where you showed up at 50%. God counts faithful imperfection over polished abandonment every single time. You don't know this yet, but that moment mattered. The one where you kept your integrity when it cost you something, when you told the truth when a lie would have been easier, when you poured into someone else's dream even when yours felt dormant, when you stayed humble in a room where ego would have been accepted. God saw every single one. Psalm 139-2. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. He has been watching the private version of you, the version nobody else has access to. And it is that version he is now preparing to make known. The famous person you are about to meet, they have been searching for someone real. Their world is full of people who perform. They are surrounded by access seekers and agenda carriers. They have learned to spot inauthenticity from across a room. And then there is you, walking in with nothing to prove, because God has already told you who you are. What happened next, most people never find out, because most people never believe this far into the story. Let's talk about the moment itself. You won't be dressed perfectly. You almost certainly will not be prepared. That is by design. God does not often arrange divine appointments in the moments you expect. He arranges them in the grocery store, in the elevator, in the seat that somehow ended up next to someone who has everything you were told you'd never reach. You will feel it before you understand it. A sudden settling in your chest, a quiet clarity, the way the air changes slightly before something shifts. And in that moment, you will have a choice. You can shrink. You can let the gap between your current life and theirs make you smaller than you are. You can let the voice of your past, the closed doors, the failed attempts, the people who looked through you speak louder than the God who placed you in that room. Or you can stand in your calling, not with arrogance, not with a rehearsed pitch, with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they were sent, because that is what chosen people carry, not hype, not performance, clarity, presence, peace that the room has to adjust to. Here is a truth that changes everything. God does not introduce you to people above you. He introduces you to people beside you. The famous person, the platform, the reach, that is not the ceiling of your story. That is the next floor. Because God does not build toward a meeting, He builds toward a mission, and the meeting is simply the moment the mission finds momentum. Isaiah 45-3. I will give you the treasures of darkness, riches stored in secret places, so that you may know that I am the Lord, the God of Israel, who summons you by name. The treasures of darkness, the things hidden in your hardest seasons, the wisdom you didn't know you were collecting, the empathy you built from your own breaking, the voice you developed in rooms where no one was listening. Those are your treasures, and God stores them in the secret places until the moment He opens the vault. The vault is about to open, but I need to be honest with you about something. This is not a guarantee of fame. It is not a promise of easy. God does not call the chosen to comfort, He calls them to purpose. And purpose almost always comes with weight. The meeting changes things, but it also asks things of you. More integrity, more discipline, more willingness to serve with your whole self in spaces that will stretch you. The favor is real. The responsibility inside the favor is equally real. Luke 12:48. From everyone who has been given much, much will be demanded. This is not spoken to frighten you. It is spoken to prepare you, because small people shrink from the ask. Chosen people rise to it. And everything in your story, every hard year, every closed door, every 3 a.m., was building your capacity to rise. You've been in the waiting room. You know that feeling, the specific exhaustion of being prepared and not yet placed, of having a dream that is vivid and a timeline that is invisible, of watching people around you move while you feel still. The waiting room is not a punishment. The waiting room is the last room before the appointment. God does not waste waiting. He fills it. He uses it to do the internal work that external success cannot accomplish. He removes from you what would have corrupted the blessing. He deposits into you what will sustain the calling beyond the moment. You have been in the waiting room long enough to lose the things that needed to go, and now the door is opening. And this is what the waiting room does to a person that nothing else can. It strips away the need for approval. It teaches you to find your worth somewhere deeper than applause. It builds something in you that is not dependent on being seen. Because when the favor finally arrives, and it will arrive, it will not be able to move you. You have already learned that your identity is not in the outcome. Your identity is in the one who called you. That is a priceless thing. That is the kind of person God can trust with a platform. Not someone who needs it, someone who can hold it without being held by it. There is something I want you to carry with you after this. The person you're about to meet, they will not complete you. They will not validate you. They are not the source of your worth. You already have what you need. You received it from a source that cannot be taken from you. Romans 8:30. And those he predestined, he also called. Those he called, he also justified. Those he justified, he also glorified. Past tense. In the economy of God, it is already done. The glorification of your calling is already written. This meeting is simply the moment your story becomes visible to others. You were seen long before you were known. So here is what you do. You keep showing up as yourself. You stop performing and start existing. You let the gifts breathe. You trust that the preparation has been sufficient. You stop apologizing for the size of what God put inside you. And when the moment comes, and it is coming, you walk into it the way a person walks into a room they belong in. Not a room they crashed, a room that was always reserved for them. There is a seat at the table. It has your name on it. Not your name as you have presented yourself to the world. Your name as God wrote it before the foundation of this earth. That is who you are walking in as. The silence before a breakthrough sounds like failure. I need you to know that. The silence is not God forgetting you. The silence is God working in the unseen. The silence is the last thing that comes before the door opens, and you finally understand why everything else had to close first. You've been living in that silence. You've felt it in your bones, and you've kept the faith anyway. That is the mark. That is what separates the chosen from the cold but unconvinced. Anyone can believe God when things are moving. It takes a different kind of person to believe God in the silence. You believed, through the silence, and now the silence is about to end. I will leave you here, not with a list of steps, not with a formula, just with this. There is a famous person who has been praying for someone exactly like you, maybe not in those words, maybe not consciously, but they have been in rooms where something was missing, and the something was you. Your perspective, your presence, your particular way of seeing what others walk past. God knew that. He built you for that intersection. He has been walking you toward this your entire life. Every hard year, every closed door, every moment you sat in the dark and wondered if the morning would ever come. He was walking you here. The morning is coming. You have been chosen not because you are perfect, but because you said yes when everything in your circumstances told you to say no. Because you kept the faith when faith was the only expensive thing you had left. Because you are still here, still hoping, still leaning in. That is who God gives the room to. That is who is about to walk through the door. Go quietly. Go prepared. Go in the peace that passes understanding. The meeting is closer than you think.